Welcome back to Comics with Drew. I'm Drew, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. Normally I review physical comics on my desk, but there's also another form of comic that you can get. You can get digital independent comics. And I've actually backed several of these books that I might not otherwise have backed, but there's a digital tier, and because I was interested in backing the project, I went ahead and backed the digital tier. Today's review is for Otis Stein, number 001. We are definitely aiming high here for the number count. This is a Skinny's Comics production, as you can see here. It is actually no longer available for purchase as far as backing is concerned. It was recently fulfilled. Matthew has been mailing them out to people. He contacted me and offered me a free PDF here, although the digital tier for backing this is only $5. So go ahead and hit him up on Twitter, send him $5 on PayPal, and he'll probably hook you up with the book for free. But it is nice to support creators, so don't cheap out, and I recommend that you give at least $5 for this because that's how much the digital tier costs. This is a black and white comic, but we do have a color cover, and obviously you can see we've got something going on that's, probably not your typical medical procedure here. But you also have some other different figures in the background. I really like this cover because it definitely evokes a mood, and you know that you're going to get something kind of like Evil Dead-ish, Army of Darkness kind of thing going on with this. It's almost like you can see Bruce Campbell peeking out the corner, but that's definitely not Bruce Campbell there. After the cover, we have a nice pinup, and this is kind of a spoiler, I suppose, because you have Otis and you have Mary. This is by Elrotimus Flash, and you got the Twitter accounts for him. So if you dig this art, you can certainly go ahead and follow on Twitter and Instagram. We got a dedication page. It's really neat when you have creators do a dedication page because you can really tell when they are super invested in this. The key to independent comics really, I believe, is passion and really believing in what you're doing. And you can usually tell by the thank you page how much passion that these people are putting into this. And obviously Matthew has one here. He thanks his father who raised him on old horror and science fiction movies. I'm not sure that's the best way to raise a child. But if you do raise your child that way, you get a comic like this for everybody. Without our bond over scary monsters, blood, and gore, this book would never have been possible. Don't put that on your resume for like your day job, guys. I'm being guilted into thanking my loving wife, Mrs. Skinny, for supporting and encouraging me throughout the entire production. Well, if she's got to guilt you into it, bro, you might want to reevaluate that whole situation there. Then we have the thanks from Carlos. I dedicate this comic book to my parents and grandparents because they bought me a lot of art supplies and pay for my college tuition. Well, Carlos, now we know who to blame. Cut to the title page. Written and lettered by Matthew D. Vealy, art and colors by Carlos F. Rodriguez, and we got the Otis Stein logo, back cover pencils by Michael Lahitan, back cover inks and colors by Carlos F. Rodriguez. It's a digital edition made in the USA. Now, I want to talk about something here. I want to talk about this logo. This logo is perfect. This is a fantastic logo. A lot of people don't recognize that when you're doing a comic book, especially when you're doing an independent comic book, keep in mind how important your logo is, because this isn't just the title of the book. This is how people identify your book going forward. This is how people identify your IP, your intellectual property. So, say for example, something happened later on down the road and Otis Stein got picked up for an adaptation. This would be the logo that you could go with. This is a professional logo. You got a candle burning there. You got the tree stuff going on. You've got basically everything that you would need to evoke Otis Stein in the logo. It's a perfect logo. It really is. So mad props to whoever created this logo. Cut to the first page. We got a bird's eye view of a yard here. We get the mailbox up in the foreground, and in the background you got a pickup truck. Now, some people might say this art is weird or the perspective's wrong, but you have to understand, for the kind of story that this art actually fits perfectly. This is a weird story, and you want art that's a little weird to go with your weird story. It's kind of like when a song is composed. Rock songs definitely have different vocals than what you usually find on adult contemporary tracks. The whole point here is that you want your art to match the vibe, okay? You want your art to match the story. It's all part of a piece. And I really dig the way Rodriguez is actually putting together this style here. This is really nice work. So we have a narration. To say it's been rough would be an enormous understatement. No one on this green earth could ever be prepared for that amount of pain, anguish, and emptiness, all hitting you at once and suffocating your very soul. Down here on the page 2, we've got Otis here opening up the mail. Looks like more bull mess from those vultures, not an ounce of sympathy. They don't care as to what happened, how much we're struggling. None of it matters to them. Only thing that does is money. So it looks like we got a final foreclosure notice. Looks like Otis mortgaged the house here, and it looks like the reason he mortgaged the house is Charlotte was dying of cancer here. Cut to the next page. I got a plan to get them their money. All I got to do is dig out the old still, brew up some shine, question marks, and profit. Shouldn't be too hard to pull off. If Gramps could do it, anyone can. A few days and we'll have enough. Better not let Mary see this, as it'll only stress her out. She's going through enough already as is. No need for more worries. Cut to an image of Mary here. Otis is still talking. Hope she's doing all right, though it's not easy to gauge. She still smiles, jokes, and is intimate. For some reason, it feels like she's holding something back. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's there staring me right in the face. Much like Mary is staring you right in the face. So Otis calls back to her, tells her it's just a bunch of junk. When's supper going to be ready? And then we still have more inner monologue. She's probably had it harder than I have. I hope she's not blaming herself. We'll get through this together, no matter how difficult it'll be. We can do this. And we're building up more of the relationship between Otis and Mary here. Without each other, we are lost, just two broken souls in limbo. The only ones who could ever hope to save us are ourselves. I'll never give up on my Mary, not in a million years or for $1 million. Page 4, we have a nice little dinner scene. I was thinking about digging out the old still. Baby, you don't know a thing about shining, but if you manage to churn out some good corn liquor, I'm all yours, babe. We got some pro dating tips right there, guys. If you look like Otis and you want to get with Mary, get some good corn liquor. Anyway, so they finish dinner. Mary starts cleaning up the table. She looks out the kitchen window as Otis goes over to the barn, and she says, don't you go doing anything stupid like blowing yourself up. This is what's known as foreshadowing out there, guys. So there you go. Next page, we switch from the inner monologue of Otis to the inner monologue of Mary. If only he knew I was once involved with people who had that power, that I could have made a deal with the devil himself. How did they find me? How long have they known we were here? Just the thought makes me shiver with fear. So we got Otis going to the barn here. We got some mysterious guy apparently coming to the house from the other side. We have a close-up of him here. Mary comes out the front door. She says, doesn't matter, they already know. They sent Vincent to make a deal. He promised me all would be forgiven and they'd save Charlotte if I would give them something in return, but it was too much. They wanted the one thing I couldn't live without. And you've got the note here from Vincent. Vincent walks away. Mary looks at the note. I'd have given anything to save her, anything, just not what they demanded. You get a close-up of the note. We can't really see what it is, but obviously it's got some kind of mystical code writing here. Mary wads it up. She says, they wanted Otis, my Otis, the one person that has kept me going, my sweet man, and they needed him, but I couldn't do it. And she threw the proposal apparently into the trash. I wouldn't do it. How on earth could I raise her without him? Who would comfort me when she started to rebel? What life would she suffer without her father? I wouldn't do it. Well, So that's a bit dark. Your daughter is dying and some guys come and they want to take your husband. So you have the choice of letting your daughter die or giving them your husband. I'm not entirely certain exactly how I would have done that. Probably Otis would have voluntarily gone if it meant saving his daughter, so I might have consulted with him on this situation here. Cut back to Otis. He's in the barn. He's setting up the still, cursing and swearing like a typical hillbilly would be. We got a snake rolling up here, obviously contributing to the environment and the mood. Again, more foreshadowing, guys. We got a pressure gauge. This pressure gauge kind of looks sketchy. Might want to make a trip to the local hardware store here. Now we wait. Once this batch is done, I'll let the boys give her a go. Let the word spread. And I want to point out something here. I love sequential art where we have gauges ratcheting up the suspense. This is a great storytelling device, especially in visual media. It reminds me a lot of Aliens when Ripley goes down there to fight the alien queen and you get a close-up shot of the digital readout of how many rounds are left as she's just firing away. Every single round is just tick, tick, tick all the way down to 0. It's a really great way of raising the dramatic stakes. And bravo to Matthew and Carlos for using this particular storytelling device. I really like it. This is actually probably my favorite page in the entire book. On to the next page, we got Mary back in the kitchen. She's washing dishes. She says, that man better make me some good whiskey or I might just have to. Boom! Mary rushes out the kitchen. Barn's blown up. No, Otis, not you too. We were supposed to be okay after this. I can't do this without you. Get it together, Mary. If they're still watching, they will surely be coming too. I couldn't save our Charlotte, but I can still save my Otis. I have to act fast. And so here's where things get a little strange, guys. You thought it was strange before. It's getting really strange now. She's gathering up all of Otis, and then she lays Otis out. She goes, I'm sorry, honey. I didn't want it to be this way, but I'm afraid they'll do far worse to you. I love you, Otis. And out comes the Book of the Dead from all your favorite different zombie movies. Looks simple enough, just need a few more things. If they get their hands on Otis, it could be the end for us all. Once they get you patched up and repeat some ancient text, that should be all we need to stop them. But as it turns out, the guys that we're worried about apparently have already arrived. But they haven't arrived in time to stop Mary from being able to perform the ritual. And if you know anything about Frankenstein, you kind of have an idea of where this is going to go. It is not like Frankenstein. There's quite a bit of weird twists to it, and I'm not going to spoil that for you. You need to go ahead and reach out to Matthew and pick up a copy of this from him. If you're into the horror and the gore kind of stuff, this is right up your alley. Considering that it's a black and white comic, there's not really as much gore as you would typically see in most comics. It's kind of subdued, which is, I think, actually good because it really works with the art style. I think if this were in full color, it would kind of take away from the vibe and especially the underground look of it. But speaking of the art, I really like the way Carlos shows the different moods for Otis here. He uses background to great effect. Here you have have Otis with a moment of reflection, and then we switch to Otis Stein, scary again, with the vertical white lines there, and he's kind of glowing. So Carlos is really using the contrasts with the black and the white and with the different kinds of backgrounds to show you different moods of the character, and that's really tight work there. Another great panel here, you've got Otis, you've got his eyes that are kind of glowing, but you also have that kind of snarl in his face there, and you got the beat up trucker cap, and you got the light source coming from up here at the top, but the hat visor here is really just setting off his eyes. It really shows that we've got glowing eyes here, and when you're working with black and white, you can't just choose color to show glowing eyes. You can't use any kind of special effect or filter or whatnot. You've got to use your contrast, and the way that we have the light coming down here and the way it hits the visor, it allows the glowing eyes to be revealed while also highlighting the facial expression. It's really amazing work. Good job, Carlos, on this. The last thing I want to talk about with the art is this particular panel later on in the book. The way Carlos is drawing this stuff, it actually kind of looks like a wood etching, and so when you have these speed lines here in the background, they create a real sense of dynamism, and you have a close-up of what's going on with Otis' intestines here. Which apparently have gained new powers here. So I'll be perfectly honest with you, horror and gore is not my thing. If this were in color, I'd probably be losing my lunch. But the art is dynamic, it's really inventive, it's really perfect for this story. In summary, Otis Stein is a really good independent comic. It's really competently put together. Because of the nature of the story and because of the kind of story that it is, it's going to be rough around the edges, and it's going to be a bit of a punk rock kind of feel to this book, and I really dig it. So word of note, it's not really for kids. It is very dark. It has a very dark twist towards the middle of it, so I wouldn't like hand this to your 6-year-old to read. Maybe unless you're like Matthew's dad and you bond over blood and gore, maybe hand it to your 6-year-old at that point. Or maybe if your 6-year-old's studying to be a doctor and you need to teach them anatomy, this might be a good starting point. Again, it's Otis Stein #1. It's by Matthew D. Vealy. It's by Carlos F. Rodriguez. You can find Matthew Vealy here at Matthew Vealy on Twitter. Hit him up, ask him about the book. He'll be happy to hook you up with a copy. Again, I recommend that you support creators. So this book only costs $5 digitally for the digital backing tier. Again, the book is in fulfillment right now. You can't back it again. However, Matthew still has digital proofs, and that's Otis Stein #1. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and like it, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can see my videos as soon as I release them. Thanks again for watching Comics with Drew. My name is Drew, and I'll see you next time.